you ever consider, joining the board and maybe you have a vote in it?
First of all, that vote is fake. That's not a real vote. That's not a real vote. They give it to who they want to give it to. They give it to their darlings. This got critical acclaim, but it sold 2 records. Like, it ain't about always what you sell. I get that, Vanilla Ice, I understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there comes a point where when an overwhelming something comes along that has this wave and impact on music, and you give it to Lada Dottie. Who? Lada Dottie. It's only Lada Dottie.
50 Cent and Eminem are officially teaming up to call out Jay-Z and Beyoncé, accusing the powerful duo of making shady industry moves, from allegedly stealing from black artists to buying awards and taking down anyone standing in their path. The heat is rising, and the spotlight is shifting fast. 50 Cent claims that Jay-Z is still working behind the scenes to sabotage his business ventures. At the same time, Eminem has been warning fans for years about how the music industry really operates.
Our culture is competitive, man.
Right.
It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, he's not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It just don't make sense.
Now, their long-standing tension with Jay-Z is boiling over, especially with M recently dropping cryptic lyrics about powerful figures who secretly run the game from behind closed doors. Beyoncé isn't being left out of the conversation either. She's facing fresh accusations of stealing songwriting credits and allegedly blocking the careers of multiple women in music, including Aaliyah, Mary J. Blige, Mia, and Carrie Hilson. The names being brought up are raising serious concerns across the industry. And it doesn't stop there. Their close ties to Diddy are back under heavy scrutiny. Although Jay-Z may have sidestepped the recent Jane Doe lawsuit, the alleged victim is now suggesting she was pressured to walk back her claims after suspicious individuals reportedly showed up at her door.
Look, Jay-Z and them was putting it together. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me.
You think you were purposely left out of the ad?
No.
Okay.
I don't think. I think that they were saying the NFL had some issues with me that I don't know what those issues are. Like, what is the issue? You start looking at that's not mine. That's theirs. They harbor it, right? But when you look at M is looking at the entire legacy.
Yeah.
The whole thing, like with M, Dre, and myself, like I'm a shady aftermath. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's so much G Unit Records.
Right.
They forget that I'm M and Dre's artist.
With all these accusations stacking up, the world is asking, are Jay-Z and Beyoncé really untouchable, or is the truth finally catching up to them? It looks like 50 Cent and Eminem may have the inside track on Jay-Z and Beyoncé's alleged behind-the-scenes moves, and the industry is starting to take notice. Have their actions quietly derailed careers, or even worse? The question is gaining momentum, and it's time to lay out exactly what's being said. For years, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were celebrated as music royalty, untouchable, powerful, and widely admired. Anyone who dared to criticize them was often labeled a jealous hater, dismissed without a second thought. But that perfect image is beginning to crack as more and more industry voices are speaking out. And leading that charge, none other than 50 Cent and Eminem.
I watched 50. Same. 50 did not win Best New Artist at the Grammys.
There was nothing bigger than 50.
Nothing bigger,
Get Rich
and
Die Trying.
nobody since maybe like Snoop came out the gate like that. My first album didn't do it. I never saw someone's first album and the wave happen like he had. And then he doesn't get it. And then I get up there another year, and what was it, the Eminem show? And it was like, whatever, I'm fine if I lose to Kanye or someone that I'm like, okay, I respect that. I know who that is, and Kanye has a huge following and he's made a massive impact on music. Fine, I'm good with that. But don't get us all here to use your selling point for your show and stiff everybody every single time. And I said, after that point in time, I was like, don't ever ask me to here again. Please do not ask me. My answer is no for 100 million years. Never again will I go to the Grammy.
Let's begin with 50. He's once again calling Jay-Z out, this time accusing him of being insecure, envious, and still petty, even after all his success. And he's not just talking, he's pointing to real incidents. In 2023, 50 revealed that Jay allegedly tried to block him from performing at the Super Bowl, using his NFL connections behind the scenes. But the move failed because Eminem refused to perform unless 50 Cent was included in the show. Fast forward to a recent appearance on Talk with Flea, where 50 sat down with Cameron and doubled down on his claims. He blasted Jay-Z again, accusing him of continuing to operate in shady ways, not only in music, but also in business.
I don't think one man can destroy another man's life. It's ultimately in your own decisions. You know, I had a lot of issues. Like I said, legal issues at the time. And, you know, my mind wasn't where I'm at now today. Like, I used to have questions like, why every time my album dropped, Jay would drop right on time. He wouldn't let me breathe or right before me. Like, I was always close. And I never understood that every single album that I dropped, Jay dropped right on time. And it was like, damn, like to have in-house competition at that magnitude was crazy. Jay already the boss, but I always thought that, like, let me breathe. But
what shocked fans even more was 50's remark that Jay-Z, despite already reaching legendary status, still acts out of spite, trying to interfere with 50's deals for no clear reason other than personal bitterness. The accusations are loud and the timing is suspicious. The industry is now watching closely to see what happens next, and if more receipts are on the way. Adding even more heat to the fire, 50 Cent has now teamed up with Eminem to expose what they claim is the Carter family's alleged manipulation of the Grammy Awards. 50 has openly accused Jay-Z of using his marriage to Beyoncé as leverage to lock down high-profile wins. The whispers of backdoor deals are growing louder, and the spotlight's never been hotter.
When you're not competing for those things anymore, and you start looking and you're going, so what was the problem? You can't exactly remember what the problem was. That's what I went through with Joe.
It's the price you pay, when you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder and they make threats. And those threats are huge ones.
Eminem has long criticized the Grammys, calling them out for being corrupt, rigged, and favoring money and influence over actual talent. This year, Beyoncé finally took home Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter, but not everyone is buying that it was a fair win. Many believe Jay-Z may have pulled industry strings, especially considering how vocal he was about Beyoncé's snubs at last year's Grammy Awards. During that event, Jay-Z went on stage and blasted the Recording Academy for consistently overlooking Beyoncé. Yet he did so while accepting an award. That contradiction rubbed fans the wrong way. The message came off as hypocritical. If the Grammys are really as biased and broken as he claimed, why stand on their stage at all? Why not walk away from it completely?
First of all, that vote is fake as That's not a real vote. That's not a real vote. They give it to who they want to give it to. They give it to their darlings.
Cowboy Carter, Beyonce.
There are horrible things that happen every day, whether it be in the industry or not, mentally, emotionally, financially.
That moment only fueled more speculation. Rumors have been circulating for years that the Carters used their industry power to influence outcomes, with some insiders suggesting everything from vote rigging to blackmail might be in play. The allegations are heavy, and now with 50 Cent and Eminem speaking out, they're gaining even more traction across media and fan spaces alike. Eminem hasn't held back. He's called the Grammys a complete scam and made it clear he wants nothing to do with the ceremony. At one point, he even promised never to attend again, standing firm on the belief that talent is being overshadowed by politics and favoritism. As this controversy continues to grow, fans and industry insiders are starting to ask, just how deep does this really go? Eminem has made it crystal clear. He's not upset about losing awards if the competition truly delivers a better project.
Look, when Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce. When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those fucking trophies came rolling in, buddy. He started getting Grammys left and right, man. I mean, look, if you look at his career,
This guy. Oh, wow. You're gonna let him say that?
Jay was getting Grammys.
he had one.
Exactly.
He had
And
one.
he ain't show up.
He had like 20 now.
Hold on.
He had like 18 since he been down. Look, he had one, bro. Hard Knock Life.
You're not wrong.
He was one. At the same time, he's like drinking his pictures with him like things the cup.
Wait a minute. So you're saying the success is derived from the marriage?
I've absolutely been treated differently.
The accolades. Because he's no longer viewed as what, like a street or gangster rapper. Now he's viewed as a businessman, entrepreneur, family man.
And the biggest ones because of the position Beyonce's.
Oh, wow.
Right? You were connected to the biggest.
Jay got.
Oh, wow. So that's the deal.
Yeah, that's the deal. Like, the other ones didn't count as much as that one did.
What bothers him most is the way the Grammys play games with his name, using him for buzz and headlines. Every time he's nominated, it creates hype and draws in viewers, but in the end, he gets snubbed. It's not about pride, it's about being used as a prop in a system he doesn't trust. M believes the whole thing is a setup from the start. When asked if he'd ever consider returning to the Grammys if he was involved in the voting committee, his answer was blunt. He said it wouldn't change anything because the entire system is already rigged and the votes mean nothing. At the same time, 50 Cent is going in just as hard. He's not just calling the Grammy Awards unfair, he's claiming that Jay-Z's wins are more about his high-profile marriage than musical skill. According to 50, the Recording Academy knows that when Jay-Z and Beyoncé show up, ratings spike, so they continue nominating them and handing out trophies just to keep them on camera. And 50 didn't leave it there.
Yeah, this is why I was saying I knew what old boy was doing with the Super Bowl. Because he was doing like,
yeah, go ahead.
He was doing some wild because he was saying that to Eminem that the NFL had the issue with me. And I'm like, well, what's the issue? Why don't I have an issue when I'm becoming a partner in the actual team, but they got an issue with my performance? Like, makes no sense. You know what I mean?
I was going to get to that later, but since we're here now. And when he says "oh boy" for the audience that don't, talking about Jay-Z. This was discussed before. Jay-Z told Dr. Dre, just for people who's not up on this, or Eminem, that he didn't want you to perform part of that Super Bowl they had a couple years ago. Why do you think that is?
Well, I just
threatened. Possibly.
Not even threatened. You know, I think it's just when you take the competition from, like, our culture is competitive, man. It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, he's not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It don't make sense. Like, what are we competing for? What's the goal? Like this even like a lot of the even a lot of the competitive stuff, or what we would call it beef, right? It changed. That terminology changed when it's Biggie and Tupac, because we start saying the things that people would say that cause beef in the environment. When before that they called it babbling in our culture. Right. Because that's what it is until it turns into some street shit. So when you're not competing for those things anymore, and you start looking and you're going, so what was the problem? You can't exactly remember what the problem was. That's what went through with Joe.
On a recent episode of the Flagrant podcast, he doubled down. suggesting that Jay-Z's career wouldn't shine nearly as bright without Beyoncé by his side. He even went so far as to suggest their marriage might be more of a strategic arrangement than a genuine relationship, saying it looks like a contract designed to keep both of their careers locked in place at the top. These claims are bold, and the reaction has been loud, with two major voices in hip-hop speaking out like this.
It's the price you pay, when you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder, and they make threats, and those threats are huge ones. And you know what I mean? You don't feel like you have a choice. I really didn't feel like I had a choice. It was do this or this.
And we also... The public is starting to question how much of the industry's biggest night is truly about talent and how much is just business. But 50 Cent isn't the only one accusing Jay-Z of using questionable tactics to maintain his position at the top of the game. Many insiders have claimed that both Jay and Beyoncé deliberately slowed down the rise of other talented artists, strategically keeping competition from reaching higher levels of fame that might threaten their spotlight. One name that continues to spark controversy is Beyoncé's former bodyguard, Uncle Ron. Before his recent passing from pneumonia, Uncle Ron publicly stated that he had evidence of the Carters sabotaging artists on their climb to the top. He claimed they didn't just play the industry game, they allegedly manipulated it, leaving broken careers and damaged lives in their wake. Another outspoken voice is Jaguar Wright, a former background singer for Jay-Z, and now one of his most vocal critics.
The first time I ever saw Jay-Z or even heard him spit a rhyme was at an MC battle, street battle in New York. But he didn't show up as Jay-Z, he didn't show up as the hottest rapper on the street. He showed up as the that was with Big L.
Rest
For
in
those
peace.
of you.
Rest in peace, Big L.
Rest in peace, Big L.
One
That
of
was the sensei.
one of the dopest. Yes.
Big L was who put Jay-Z on.
Without question.
And then Big L died, and then the next thing you know, Jay-Z.
Jaguar has alleged that several people once close to Jay, including Harlem hip-hop legend Big L, either mysteriously lost their lives or had their careers destroyed, all to make way for Jay's rise through the ranks of the industry. Let's take a moment to talk about Big L. Back in the early 90s, Big L was one of Harlem's brightest underground stars, known for his razor-sharp freestyles and raw lyrical skill. He signed with Columbia Records and made waves with his debut project, but after parting ways with the label, he launched his own imprint, drawing interest from Rockefeller co-founder Dame Dash. Just as it looked like Big L's career was about to explode, tragedy struck. On February 15, 1999, he was gunned down in a drive-by shooting in Harlem.
How did you stay so guarded within your career?
This is what I did. I said, no, I'm good, thank you. No, thank you. Okay, so sometimes that doesn't translate as far as what you are allowed to have, what you have access to. You will be blackballed. You will be talked about, you will be on, you will be rumored about. But you have to stand strong on what you don't care for. It's not that serious to me, if I have to sell my soul. I understand that I might have sacrificed something in the physical world, but the spiritual world is not worth it. You're okay. You don't need to do anything. What you need to do is protect every part of your life, your spirit especially, because everything else is connected to that. There are some people, not everyone, that have huge egos, and awful mindsets towards men, towards women, towards people. And it's very difficult to be around. It's just very difficult. And the way they define success is not your idea of success.
To this day, the case remains unsolved. Jaguar Wright has repeatedly suggested that Jay-Z might have had knowledge or involvement related to the incident, although no evidence has ever confirmed this publicly. The questions surrounding Big L's death still linger, And with critics like Jaguar continuing to speak out, attention on these past events is intensifying. Whether these stories hold deeper truths or remain industry speculation, the narrative surrounding Jay-Z's rise is more controversial than ever. See how good I keep secrets, Sean. That chilling line takes on new meaning as we dive into another chapter involving DMX, one of the few artists alongside 50 Cent who wasn't afraid to publicly call out Jay-Z for being bitter and envious. DMX didn't hold back, and the tension between them only grew when Jay took control at Def Jam. Back in 2004, Jay-Z stepped in as president of Def Jam. At that point, DMX had already delivered 5 consecutive #1 albums from 1998 to 2003, an almost unmatched run in hip-hop history. But when it came time for his 6th project, Year of the Dog, again, DMX claimed that Jay intentionally delayed its release. Why? To make space for his own return and put the spotlight on himself. But that's just one part of the story. In 2005, DMX dropped a fiery track called The Industry, where he exposed the darker truths about the music business. Many of the shady practices he rapped about then, they're still happening today, nearly 2 decades later, and there's more. The late Irv Gotti once claimed that Jay-Z was extremely jealous of DMX's rise. According to Irv, Jay and his longtime mentor, Lyer Cohen, would mock DMX behind the scenes, saying he'd never make it, never last, never become the legend he eventually did. Those words aged poorly. A similar pattern was reported by Beanie Siegel. He believed there were quiet moves being made behind the scenes that blocked his rise in the industry. Beanie noticed Jay-Z would strategically drop his own albums around the same time as his, limiting how much attention or sales Beanie's projects could receive. Although Beanie has taken responsibility for his own legal troubles, he still made it clear he believes Jay's decisions were intentional. Whether it was controlling release dates or capping Beanie's potential success, it all seemed calculated. The deeper you go into these stories, the more a pattern starts to form. One where Jay-Z allegedly played gatekeeper, deciding who could shine and when. And with more artists speaking out, the picture being painted is hard to ignore. Kellis didn't even know Beyoncé had sampled her track until fans spotted it online, and she found out the same way the public did. Kellis took to social media, saying she was completely mind blown by the level of disrespect and disregard. In her words, "I heard about this the same way everyone else did." She added, "Nothing is ever as it seems. Some of the people in this business have no soul or integrity, and they have everyone fooled." Later, Kellis elaborated further on Instagram, explaining why the move felt so personal. She highlighted how rare it is to see 2 black female artists thrive in the music industry, saying, "We've met each other, we know each other, we have mutual friends." Kellis emphasized that it wasn't just about business, it was about respect. "It's not that hard to contact me," she wrote. "It's just common decency." Rather than respond to the backlash or offer any apology, Beyoncé quietly removed the sample of Milkshake from her track. She made no public comment on the issue, and the theft claims were left unaddressed, adding more fuel to the fire surrounding how Beyoncé operates behind the scenes. Then there's Mia, another artist who allegedly faced backlash after rejecting Jay-Z's advances. Mia once said that people in positions of power often abuse it in damaging ways, creating unsafe environments for younger artists who are just trying to make it. She noted that many new artists don't realize what they're truly giving up when they chase success without boundaries. When asked how she personally avoided getting pulled into that energy, Maya simply said she stood firm, said no, and walked away. But the consequences were real. She hinted that turning down certain powerful figures may have led to her being blackballed from major opportunities, and even had her reputation quietly smeared across the industry. These situations aren't just isolated incidents. They point to an ongoing pattern of gatekeeping and behind-the-scenes retaliation. And as more artists speak up, the industry's silence is starting to speak volumes. As you can see, a growing number of artists believe that Jay-Z and Beyoncé may have played a role in sabotaging careers behind the scenes. And what we've covered here, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So what's your take on these claims from voices like 50 Cent and Eminem? Do you believe there's real truth behind the accusations? And are there other artists out there who may have been blackballed by the Carters that haven't been mentioned yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you made it this far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more eye-opening stories from the music world.